Welcome to the Jesus Took Naps podcast, where we learn to embrace the remarkably ordinary life of Jesus on our daily journey. Join us as we talk about life and faith, navigate our own relationships with God, and grow in friendship with each other. We will engage questions about the church and the cultural context of our day as we challenge assumptions and grow in our faith together.
Hey everyone, we're glad you're back with us, listening in and joining the conversation here on the Jesus Took Naps podcast. I'm here with my friend, Victor Scott.
Hello, everybody.
And we're excited to be back for another episode of Meme-ology. Meme-ology, our soon-to-be infamous discussion of memes, I have no doubt. Will be infamous, not famous, because we're going to have people mad at us. I have no doubt.
We're so famous, we're infamous.
We're good.
That's such a terrible joke, but I love it.
It is a really bad joke, but it follows with our meme episodes pretty well. People are going to hate us for our discussion of memes, but that's okay. They'll end up not liking how we talk about their favorite meme, but send us your memes anyways. That's what we're asking you. Please send us your memes. We want to laugh with you. We want to know the things that you like to share and talk about and make fun of, because we like to laugh at ourselves and humanity. We just love laughter. So send them our way, and I guarantee that we will laugh at them. And then maybe they'll even make it onto an episode. We'll see what happens. So we are on to another meme. Victor, you want me to describe it, or you want to try to describe it?
Yeah, so I'm gonna take an attempt here. Okay. So it's a meme, and we're gonna post these on, for those of you that are watching the videos, we're gonna post these on the screen so you don't have to suffer through my description. But it's of a baby, and I was telling Drew, some of my favorite memes are like these half asleep, somewhat drunken looking babies.
Yeah.
And so he's there. It looks like there's an adult next to him holding him up. He has this kind of glazed, kind of closed eyes look on him. And on the top it says, "So this guy in a dress tried to drown me, and I kid you not, my family just stood there taking pictures." I don't know if you've seen this, but you will see this after that.
Oh, for sure.
So we want to measure these memes based on their memosity. That's the word that we're using. Mm-hmm. How memey is this meme?
Yes.
So Drew, how is the memosity of this particular meme to you?
Yeah. Does it get your attention? Yeah, it gets your attention. One, this is a pretty common meme. So this baby their image has been used a lot in memes. I hope they're making royalties off that. Just a side note. But
who knows?
But the baby's been used a lot. So I know that they're usually funny. They're usually well done. So it does get my attention. What about you? Does it make you laugh?
I love it.
Yeah.
I first of all, I think babies are just cool. So just on that note, I think babies are awesome. Yep. And then when babies do funny things, that's even better.
Yes.
Having children of my own, I always think it's funny where are these pictures going to show up, right?
Yeah.
So like a wedding collage or some strange thing. So I love memes with babies. I think they're awesome. So this one definitely just ranks up there in one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I just love them.
Yeah. And it's fun. And it's funny. I mean, it's well done. I mean, even just the wording of it, where it doesn't directly ever talk about baptism, but if you're in the church and you've ever been in anything close to a high church tradition where the pastor has a robe on, you know exactly what this is talking about. And it's so...
I just think it's funny he calls it a dress.
Exactly. Because that's how a kid would talk about it, right? A kid would be like, So this guy in a dress tried to drown me. And I kid you not, my family just stood there taking pictures. Oh, my goodness.
The thing is that to talk about drowning, and we're going to get real, like, church nerd real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So it must have been probably some of our brothers and sisters in the Orthodox tradition where they actually do dunk the babies.
Yes, that's right.
So it's possible that this particular person might be aware of that particular tradition.
Orthodox tradition, that's right. I mean, I've seen some videos where they're holding them by like their legs and ankles and like full on dunking these babies. So
yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I know. Listen,
from a practical standpoint,
my American sensibilities get the best of me at that point. But
no, but he's but the idea of trying to drown him, I think is just funny.
Yeah, I think it's funny. And my family just standing there taking pictures for sure on their phones, videoing the whole thing nowadays. Oh, and then lastly, did it make you think? And we kind of already answered that with the Eastern Orthodox thing. I mean, it does pique your interest, make you think. Like, okay,
Mhm.
what's it talking about with a guy in a dress trying to drown me? Baptism for
Mhm.
people who understand that, and then the family taking pictures. Just too funny.
Yeah. So it
Just too funny.
just talks about the various traditions of baptism in the church, and I think even if your particular fellowship of church doesn't or expression of church doesn't practice the infant baptism or baby baptism, people who do,
That's right.
and so I think everyone can enjoy this particular meme, even if you don't practice that in your church.
That's right.
And so I think that's what's cool about it, is that it really does appeal to almost anyone who is familiar with the church. Because I'm sure, so our church actually has vestments. We don't practice infant baptism, but we have vestments,
Hmm.
or the dresses.
That's right.
And so my youngest daughter has kind of commented that some of my vestments make me look like I'm in a giant baptismal robe.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. I
I
can see
forget
that.
what she calls it. I'll remember for the next time. But
Okay.
she
It's
makes a
like a
funny comment
baptismal
about
robe.
it
Yeah.
every time, and I'm like, no, it's called a roche, and it's
Oh,
all
goodness.
fancy language. Don't look that up. Don't worry
Mm.
about it. It's no big deal. But I have to kind of instruct my child as to what these vestments are. But it's too funny.
But
It's
she's
too
a
funny.
kid. That's how she reacts, and
That's
it's
right.
and it's and it's funny. It is too funny. Speaking of traditions, where people like, even if their tradition doesn't baptize kids, they know traditions that are. Funny story about that. My mom tells us this story about how the first two boys. I'm one of four boys. I'm the third of four boys, and the first two boys were not dedicated in church because
Mm.
Baptist churches weren't dedicating kids at that point. And she says it's not until the parents started whining, complaining that all of their friends were having their babies baptized at their
Oh my
churches
goodness.
that the local Baptist churches started dedicating children so that the Baptist moms could have the same thing. Now, I don't know that that's true at all. But I think
Yeah.
it's hilarious how my mom tells the story, because she says, my first two boys weren't dedicated. The second two were dedicated. So I don't know. Are y'all closer to Jesus? Like, it's just,
Well, you turned out to be a pastor, so maybe I don't
maybe,
know.
I don't know, but it's just really funny. I think it's funny. Her humor about it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Um,
There has to,
Anyways,
even if she's exaggerating, I'm sure there's a kernel of truth in what she
there could be,
said.
because listen. This gets. I mean, we could be in the theological woods for a long time around baby infant baptism, Paleo Baptist, Credo Baptist, all this kind of stuff. But it causes some actual personal turmoil for people, because
Yeah.
family is significant. That, I mean, the meme hints at that, right? The family sitting around taking pictures. Well, this is a significant moment in the life of a
Yeah.
family. So acknowledging a birth. This is within Judeo-Christian values. Jewish
Mhm.
people circumcised their son, and there were other practices for for a girl, where at this 8-day mark, or some do it a little later, whatever. There was a dedication of a child to the covenant. So whether Christians practice it or not, it's a part of the heritage of our faith. So there is this significant familial moment that's happening there that
Right.
deserves to be acknowledged, not just by celebrating the birth of a child on social media, but that deserves to be acknowledged among the family of faith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I totally agree.
yeah.
So I think it's one of the things that's ironic is, if you go to a church that does not practice infant baptism, um, you would think that they were doing the same thing because the language sounds very similar.
Almost exactly the
Um,
same.
minus the liturgy, right? Minus the more formal structured prayers, things
Yep,
like that.
yep.
But the process is almost identical, and so
Almost
I
exactly the same.
think again, this is probably a topic that we'll
Oh, we
touch on in
will.
a more
We will.
extensive episode. But I think it's interesting that we address this, that there is a very real sense in which baptism is a beginning of life through the end of life kind of reality,
Yes.
that it touches everything that we do, and when we witness someone else's baptism, we are being reminded of what God was doing for us. And so
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the humor of it,
I do
because
too.
there's a lot of people who, you know, they don't remember their baptism.
Mhm. Yeah.
They don't do that. I don't personally believe in rebaptizing people. I think that that's something that should only need to happen once, kind of like a new birth,
Yep.
right? It's a new birth, first birth. But I love something. A real quick story about this. I remember a district superintendent in the Methodist Church shared with me what he would do if someone came to him and asked him to be rebaptized.
Yeah.
He says, "Well, I wouldn't call it a rebaptism, but I would use as much water as is necessary for that person to remember what was going on." And I have to tell you, I loved that answer so much.
It makes
I was
me
like,
laugh just like the meme. It sounds like the meme.
yes. So that's what he said. He said, I would use as much water as
If I
was
gotta drown
necessary.
you, I'll drown you.
Correct. So, but here's the thing. That was his pastoral response
Yeah, it's an
to that
appropriate
person's
response.
spiritual need, right?
Absolutely
And I
appropriate
loved it.
response.
But it was so funny because coming from a Baptist background, I was like, so you would rebaptize them?
Yeah.
And he's like, no,
No.
right? No, I would not
No.
rebaptize them. But
My first
anyway,
humorous moment around baptism, because if you get into theology too deeply, you can just start taking yourself and your theology too
oh yeah,
serious.
for
So
sure.
my first time I had this humorous moment around, okay, maybe I'm being a little too serious about this, is I was at this church. We practiced credo baptism. People got baptized upon profession of faith, but we did child dedications. But the pastor would anoint the baby with oil during the child
Mhm.
dedication. And it was like the second time I was a part of this church, the second time we did child dedications, that I had to hide my laughter. I started laughing because I thought in my own head, I went, well, wait a minute. What's the difference between the liquid of oil and the liquid of water? I was like, wait a
As
minute.
a matter of fact, it's more
Isn't oil even more?
closely related to the Holy Spirit.
I was like, so aren't we baptizing the child right now with oil instead of liquid? And the reason it clicked and I laughed is because in the same service, at the same moment, like right after the dedications, we did baptism in a portable baptism. So it was right there. The baptism was right there. He's dedicating a child with oil. And I'm going,
Yeah.
this is too funny. Like, come on, y'all. Don't you see the humor in this?
The other thing is using the word christening, which is more commonly used in traditions like the Catholic Church
That's
or
correct.
Orthodox churches.
Yeah.
And so when you hear a Baptist or what could be considered what's considered low church, which is like people who don't have those structures
That's right.
for their church, when you call it a christening, you are technically saying that you're taking your child to be baptized.
Yeah.
So these language things get in the way
Oh, yeah.
and really cause confusion. And I think that's one of the things that these memes help to kind of expose, because
Yes.
what do you believe about this thing, right? And even though these are supposed to be funny, and they are funny, especially when you kind of think them through, but they also can serve as really cool kind of conversation starters and say, hey, do
Yeah.
you understand kind of what that means?
Yeah.
And so I love humor is such a good way to have a conversation or to start a
Yes.
conversation about topics that are not always easy to have with people. And
That's
so please send us as many church-related memes as you can find, and we
Please.
would love to interact with them and consider them. But yeah, so this is a great meme. I think it's a good meme. I think it's funny. It hits all the right notes. It's irreverent without being overtly kind of crass.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great, because you get I think the thing that stands out for me is that you get the kid's perspective here.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not any. It's the
That's
kid's
right. It's the
perspective.
kid's
If I was the kid,
As if
what
the
would I be
baby could
thinking?
talk. What would I be
Right.
thinking? That's right.
It was, and that's the part that makes it especially funny to me.
Agreed. 1,000%. Awesome. I love it. Hey, y'all, like usual, make sure you check us out on our website, jesustooknaps.live. We're on most of the socials at Jesus Took Naps. Look for the iconographic. I don't know how to make that word anything more than
Jesus sleeping.
Iconography. Look for the Jesus sleeping with his halo, and it'll be us. And so look us up on socials. And if we're not on a social, let us know. We'll consider getting on it, but definitely send us your memes. We love them. All right. Y'all have a good one.
You've been listening to Jesus Took Naps, a remarkably ordinary podcast. Make sure to like our Jesus Took Naps Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at jesustooknaps.live. Also, go to our website, jesustooknaps.live, to sign up for our email newsletter for updates about the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.